Welcome to Acquire with Ashok. Firstly, before I begin, let me explain the title. Penang's number one was not an official title. It was an affectionate and endearing term used by certain people in the state when referring to the Governor of Penang, who at that time was Tun Dato Utama Ahmad Fuzi bin Haji Abdul Razak, the 8th Governor of Penang. I used it in this program with that same spirit of warmth and respect. People may assume that the greatest privilege of serving the office of the governor was being close to power. For me, the real privilege was being close enough to observe leadership in action. I had the honor of working closely with Tun as the first director of communications and media and leading the first dedicated communications team established for the governor's office. The governor understood that the way public institutions communicate was changing. He believed in using digital marketing and social media to communicate information directly to the public, provide greater visibility into the activities of the governor's office, and to support greater transparency. Building that communications function gave me a perspective very few people have, the opportunity to observe how leadership, public service, protocol, and influence come together at the highest level. I benefited enormously from that experience. And I believe it is now my responsibility to share what I personally learned from a leader who, in my view, come very rarely in one's life. Before I continue, there's one important point I must say. I am speaking entirely in my personal capacity. These are my own observations, experiences, and leadership reflections. They do not represent the views of the former governor, the governor's office, the Penang state, or any other institution. I will not be sharing confidential matters. I'm sharing leadership principles that I personally took away from the experience. And these principles can help leaders in government, business, and society. From that remarkable journey, I have just summed up 15 leadership lessons today. Number one, communicate clearly and at the right time. Now, the context is Tun allowed us to capture and curate his daily activities for the benefit of the public to understand the role and responsibilities that were attached to the institution of the governor. It was easier for one to see and hear for themselves what took place rather than just get flashes in the news, which may not tell the whole story. So clear communication also helped people understand how they could also create and contribute to the state with ambitious and credible and well-structured proposals to be brought forward for consideration. Now, what was the leadership lesson? Communication is not merely publicity. When it's clear, timely, and responsible, it creates transparency, understanding, participation, and trust. Lesson two, have a purpose bigger than oneself. Now, the context is one of the things that continuously amazed me was Tun's tenacity. He worked 7 days a week, often from early morning until late night. That commitment continued through public holidays, weekends, major festivals, even when most people would take time off work. I often wondered where he found the energy. But as I got to know him better, I realized that it came from his attitude of service above self. That was probably shaped by his long career in the civil service and his personal determination to do what he believed was right. So that leadership lesson to me was tenacity does not come from ambition alone. It comes from meaning. When your purpose is greater than your own comfort, your own convenience or recognition, it gives you the drive to work harder and continue longer than others expect. Lesson number three, have ambitions large enough to unite people. Now, the context behind this, there was one extraordinary initiative set out to plant 1 million trees in a single day by Tun, and that achievement had never ever been done before. In fact, even 100,000 trees in a day had not been done before. But with Tun's leadership and the support from the state of Penang, the organizations, the NGO, the communities, the people, approximately 1.2 million trees were planted in a day. Fundraising activities also raised millions for the public and charitable communities to benefit. So these were not just merely major events. It created a form of energy in the state that helped people feel that they were respected and they were participating in something where a leader had cared about them. So the leadership lesson was a bold vision with mutual interest from the government, businesses, communities, and ordinary people can create significant impact. Leaders should not merely organize activity, they should create movements that convert collective energy into a measurable impact. Lesson 4. Stay active, lead by example, and make it fun. The context is Tun participated in a 68-kilometer cycling event across both Penang bridges, a feat recognized by the Malaysian Book of Records for being the first governor to do so. The ride lasted about 5 hours through wind and rain. I participated as well, and even I found it physically exhausting. What impressed me was not only Tun's fitness, but it was his mental strength required to keep moving under difficult conditions. The leadership lesson: do not simply tell people to stay active, resilient, or disciplined. Lead by example for them to know that you walk the talk. However, if you turn the activity into an enjoyable experience, then even better. You will build a community around it and make people want to participate. Lesson 5. Build coalitions of like-minded people. The context: large ambition cannot be achieved by one person or one office. Tun's ideas brought people together, organizations, friendly partners who believed in the similar goals. This relationship worked both ways. They supported worthwhile initiatives, and support was extended to them when appropriate. An energetic group generates ideas, they identify different methods of success, and make difficult goals feel achievable. The leadership lesson: the people around you influence the scale of your ambition and success. Energy is contagious. When you build a coalition of active, committed, capable people, then ideas multiply, resources expand, and greater goals are achieved without feeling the effort is totally yours. Leadership lesson 6. Communication is key with every walks of life. Now, the context is to engage with government leaders, officials, business people, NGOs, the police, armed forces, education bodies, religious leaders, and ordinary people in the public. Each saw Penang from a different perspective. By listening across all segments, a leader could gain first-hand understanding of what was going on the ground, and not only just what appeared in reports or official briefings. The leadership lesson: you cannot fully understand society from one meeting room. Effective leaders communicate across rank, profession, religion, age, social background. They adapt how they communicate without compromising their values. Leadership lesson 7. Measure people by their impact, not their titles. The context: titles and positions were respected, but they were not the only measure of a person's value. Tun was interested in what someone had achieved, what they were genuinely attempting to achieve, and whether they were prepared to do the work. Because time is limited, attention naturally went to people who demonstrated achievement, demonstrated action, or the potential to create meaningful outcomes. Now, the leadership lesson here: a title may open the door, but contribution earns trust. Do not be impressed solely by rank or status. Look for evidence of effort, delivery, integrity, and commitment. Lesson 8. Never burn a bridge unnecessarily. Now, the context: Tun's diplomatic career had taught him how to disagree without permanently destroying a relationship. Even after a difficult conversation, both parties could still be capable of meeting and continuing the conversation. There were also people who promised more than they initially delivered. Rather than immediately giving up on them, sometimes they were given another opportunity to correct themselves and improve their performance. That encouragement motivated many people to try harder rather than simply walking away. The leadership lesson: preserve the relationship while maintaining accountability. A second chance does not mean abandoning standards. It means giving someone an opportunity to rise above those standards. Lesson 9. Listen before you judge. The context: some people may not be well positioned in society. Others may have reputations that cause us to form conclusions before they even speak. But when someone legitimately represents an organization, a community, or a point of view, they should be given an opportunity to explain their position. Their proposal may still be rejected after the meeting, but the decision should be made after listening, not before. The leadership lesson: listening is not an endorsement. Strong leaders hear different perspectives, examine the substance, and then decide what is appropriate for the organization or society. Lesson 10: know your facts before you speak or decide. The context: there was one occasion, an exceptionally busy schedule had compressed the time available for Tun to prepare for a pardons board meeting. Without discussing any confidential material, what stayed with me was the seriousness of Tun's response. He concluded his other meetings earlier and remained awake throughout the night so that he could properly review the relevant documents and understand each matter before the meeting. During the discussion with the pardons board, he also invited every committee member to give a point of view, including those who were naturally not outspoken, before they made a collective decision. The leadership lesson: serious decisions require serious preparation. Know the facts, invite different perspectives, and do not allow the loudest person in the room to become the only person heard. Lesson number 11: respect rules, authority, and protocol without losing humanity. The context: Tun respected the authority and responsibility delegated to others. No matter how senior you are, you follow the proper process. If queuing is required, you queue. When someone has been given a responsibility, you allow them to exercise it. At the same time, he was conscious that official movements could affect the public. Where possible, he tried to reduce meetings that required travel during peak hours because the Penang roads were already congested. Leadership lesson: authority should not be used to make life unnecessarily difficult for the people you serve. Protocol requires order, but empathy ensures that the system remains human. Lesson 12: respect time. The context: Tun valued punctuality. Meetings should begin on time and, wherever possible, end on time. This was particularly important when dealing with international visitors, officials, and organizations accustomed to a precise schedule. If we were late, we would speed up. If we were early, we would slow down to be on time. The leadership lesson: punctuality is respect made visible. Your time may be valuable, but so is the other person's. Arriving late or allowing meetings to run too long communicates that their commitment matters less than yours. Lesson 13: attention to detail creates better execution. Now, the context: Tun's experience as Secretary General of the World Islamic Economic Forum, together with his involvement in major international events connected in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, gave him an understanding of what it takes to deliver initiatives of a significant scale. Major events required coordination across departments and sometimes even countries. He would ask detailed questions, visualize the sequence of events, clarify responsibilities, and consider what might go wrong before it happened. Now, the leadership lesson: large ambitions succeed through disciplined execution. Ask the right questions, understand every moving part, prepare contingencies, ensure everyone knows what they're responsible of delivering. Lesson 14: review every experience and improve. The context was, after every important event, Tun did not only focus on what went well. The following morning, he would discuss the event with members of the team and ask what worked, what did not happen as planned, why did it happen, what had we failed to anticipate, what should be done differently the next time. So we all knew how to improve at every event. This was an opportunity to examine our experiences, reinforce lessons, and improve future lessons. Now, what was the leadership lesson? Experience alone does not create excellence. Reviewed experience does. The objective of review should not be to find someone to blame. It should be to strengthen your people, your process, and your system that's responsible for future performance. Now, our final lesson that I took for this short video is stay grounded and keep learning every day. The context was Tun remembered his old friends, including those who knew him long before he occupied the high office. Those relationships were important because positions are temporary. The people who knew us before the title often help us remember who we really are. He also continued learning through meetings, reading, questions, experiences, and discussion. Talking through what had happened helped reinforce the learning and it made it easier for future situations. The leadership lesson: never allow a position to separate you from your beginnings. Titles eventually change. What lasts is the way you treated people, what they learned from you, and the positive impact you left behind. These are some of the leadership lessons that I personally took away from my time serving in the governor's office, and I wanted to share it with you so that maybe you could benefit too. But what I've shared in this video only represents the headlines. Behind every lesson is a deeper story, a practical leadership framework for an organization or a leader to improve the way they communicate, make decisions, mobilize their people, and deliver results. Today, I apply this insight in my work as a coach and as a strategic advisor to companies, institutions, and leadership teams. Through learning from Penang's number one, these lessons can be delivered as an executive workshop customized for your organization. This is about understanding proven leadership principles and applying them to the challenges you face in your own organization. You're welcome to contact me to learn more, and we can discuss in more depth. The greatest privilege of my journey was not the position I held or the people I met. It's what I learned that I will remember for life. Because power may open a door, position may give you authority, but the purpose determines how you use it. I'm Dato Dr. Ashok Rudy Ratnanesan, and this is my learnings from Penang's number one. Thank you for watching.